Good morning. Today we're exploring a story that's making waves across Europe, a story where tradition, security, and democracy all collide in the heart of the Alps. Switzerland is embarking on a high-stakes mission to modernize its air force, and the stakes couldn't be higher. This is a country known for its neutrality, but also for its commitment to being prepared for any threat, especially from the skies. Despite its peaceful reputation, Switzerland has always insisted on a robust defense. Its mountainous borders and central location in Europe make air security a top priority, even in times of peace. But in Switzerland, every major government purchase comes with a twist. The people have the final say. Modern fighter jets are incredibly expensive, and here, big spending requires a public vote. In 2020, the government put the question to its citizens: should Switzerland spend 6 billion Swiss francs on new jets? The answer was a narrow yes. Just a few thousand votes tipped the scale. That razor-thin margin sent a clear message. The government had to stick to the budget, with no room for error or overspending. Every franc would be scrutinized. The plan was ambitious. Replace the aging fleet of F-18s and F-5s, some of which have been flying for decades, with a new generation of fighters that could protect Swiss airspace for years to come. After months of evaluation, Switzerland chose the American F-35A Lightning II. The decision was based on its advanced technology, stealth capabilities, and a price tag that, at least on paper, seemed to fit the budget. But as the deal moved forward, costs began to rise. Unexpected expenses, currency fluctuations, and new requirements have pushed the project dangerously close to the limit. Now, the government faces a tough choice: break the budget and risk public outrage, or cut back on the number of jets and potentially weaken national defense. The Swiss Federal Council is under intense pressure. On one side, they must honor their promise to voters to stay within the budget. On the other, they can't afford to compromise the country's security. The public's message was clear: upgrade the Air Force, but don't overspend. Many Swiss citizens are watching closely, worried about both security and fiscal responsibility. Now, with costs climbing higher than expected, the government must decide: should they ask the public for more money and risk a political backlash, or find creative ways to stay within the original limit, possibly by reducing the order or seeking savings elsewhere? This is more than just a procurement issue. It's a test of Swiss democracy, a challenge to the country's tradition of direct public involvement, and a moment that will define Switzerland's defense priorities for a generation. The outcome of this debate will shape Switzerland's security, its politics, and its relationship with its own citizens for years to come. As the world watches, Switzerland stands at a crossroads. Let's see how this unfolds. Here's how the deal was supposed to work. In 2021, Switzerland picked the F-35A, planning to buy 36 jets from Lockheed Martin, just enough to secure Swiss airspace. The package, including logistics and training, was pitched as a fixed-price deal, 6 billion francs, no surprises. This fixed price was crucial for public and political support after the close referendum. The contract was signed in 2022, with deliveries set for 2027 through 2030. Some jets would be built in the US, others assembled in Italy. The government believed it had locked in a powerful new fleet within budget, but that sense of certainty didn't last. The so-called fixed price was about to be challenged by economic realities. What Switzerland saw as a guarantee, the US saw as an estimate. The stage was set for a costly misunderstanding. Trouble started in the summer of 2025, when what seemed like a routine defense deal began to unravel in the public eye. What was supposed to be a straightforward procurement quickly turned into a national controversy, grabbing headlines and sparking heated debates across Switzerland. Reports soon revealed a major rift. Switzerland believed the 6 billion franc price tag for the new fighter jets was set in stone, while the US insisted it was merely an estimate, subject to change. This fundamental misunderstanding set the stage for a diplomatic and financial standoff. The culprit behind the ballooning costs? A perfect storm of global inflation, skyrocketing material prices, and persistent supply chain bottlenecks. These factors, largely outside anyone's control, sent the projected price soaring far beyond initial expectations. The result was a staggering budget overrun, up to 1.3 billion francs more than originally planned. For a country known for its fiscal discipline, this was a shocking development. At the heart of the dispute was a little-known contract clause, Note 55. This clause allowed for price adjustments in response to changing costs, a standard practice in U.S. defense contracts, but a detail that had gone largely unnoticed in Switzerland. For the U.S., such clauses were routine, a way to manage risk in a volatile market. But for Switzerland, it was a crisis in the making, threatening the very foundation of the deal. The Swiss budget, set by public vote and enshrined in law, was inflexible. There was no room for negotiation or last-minute increases. The government had promised voters a fixed price, assuring them that the deal was secure. Now, faced with a massive shortfall, officials were left scrambling to explain the situation to an increasingly skeptical public. The dream of acquiring 36 state-of-the-art jets for 6 billion francs was suddenly out of reach. The vision of a modernized Swiss Air Force was slipping away. The government had to rethink everything, fast. Emergency meetings were called, and every possible solution was put on the table. What began as a simple misunderstanding had now turned a straightforward purchase into a complex political and financial headache, with no easy answers in sight. The focus shifted overnight, from celebration and anticipation to crisis management and damage control. The stakes had never been higher. The Swiss public, feeling blindsided, demanded answers. Protests erupted, and trust in the government began to erode. Now, the government faced a daunting task: to restore public confidence and craft a new plan that could salvage both the deal and their credibility. With costs rising faster than expected, the Swiss government found itself at a crossroads. The price tag for modernizing the Air Force was climbing, and the pressure was on to make a decision that would satisfy both the military and the public. Instead of risking a political backlash by asking for more taxpayer money, a move that could have triggered heated debates and even more public scrutiny, they decided to stick firmly to the original 6 billion franc budget approved by voters. The result? Switzerland will end up with fewer F-35A fighter jets than initially planned, a significant shift from the original vision for the Air Force. The exact number of jets hasn't been finalized yet, but it's already clear that the Swiss Air Force will have to operate with a smaller, leaner fleet than military leaders had hoped for. This decision honors the promise made to voters to respect the budget, but it also forces military planners to go back to the drawing board and rethink how to maintain Switzerland's security with fewer resources. The original plan called for 36 jets, a number based on careful analysis of Switzerland's security needs. Now, with fewer jets, the Air Force will have to stretch its resources thinner, potentially impacting training, readiness, and coverage. The timeline for delivery remains unchanged, but the composition of the fleet will look different, and the Air Force will need to adapt its operations accordingly. While the government has managed to solve the immediate budget dilemma, this compromise brings new challenges. Balancing fiscal discipline with national defense. Switzerland will still receive state-of-the-art jets, but not as many as originally hoped, and each one will have to count for more. In the end, fiscal responsibility took precedence over military wish lists, reflecting Switzerland's tradition of careful financial management. Now, the debate shifts to how the Air Force can do more with less, innovating, prioritizing, and making every jet count in the defense of Swiss skies. The story is far from over, and the next chapter will test Switzerland's ability to adapt in a changing world. As the jet deal hit turbulence, U.S.-Swiss trade tensions flared. In 2025, the U.S. slapped tariffs up to 39% on Swiss goods, complicating negotiations. Despite this, Switzerland kept the F-35 deal separate from trade disputes, signaling its commitment to defense. This diplomatic balancing act kept the jet purchase alive. By November, tariffs dropped to 15% after negotiations, easing tensions. Resolving the trade spat helped create a better environment for the F-35 talks. The deal's survival showed how vital the jets are to Swiss defense plans. Even under economic pressure, Switzerland didn't waver. The F-35 remained central to its modernization strategy. The government proved it would weather diplomatic storms to secure its future. Despite the headaches, Switzerland is sticking with the F-35. The decision to buy fewer jets is about money, not strategy. The F-35 won out in a tough competition for its stealth, sensors, and future-proof tech. For a small, neutral country, stealth and advanced surveillance are crucial. The F-35 also connects Switzerland with European partners, boosting cooperation and lowering long-term costs. Interoperability with neighbors strengthens regional security. The government believes the F-35 is still the best choice, even in smaller numbers. The issue was never the jet's quality, just the price. Switzerland is betting on quality over quantity for the long haul. The F-35 is just one piece of Switzerland's broader military upgrade. The Air 2030 program also includes the US-made Patriot missile system for ground-based air defense. Together, these systems create a layered shield against modern threats. Europe's security landscape is changing, and Switzerland is adapting. Long-term plans suggest Switzerland may eventually need 55 to 70 modern jets, far more than it can now afford. The current purchase is a first step, not the final answer. The gap between budget and ambition is clear. The government is committed to modernization, even if it means scaling back for now. The story of Swiss air defense is just beginning. What's next? The Defense Ministry will negotiate to see how many F-35s fit the budget. The final number will be announced soon. The government has left the door open to buying more jets later, if the public approves. For now, the focus is on getting a core fleet delivered by 2030 and retiring old planes. Any future expansion would require a new vote and more funding. Deliveries and pilot training will proceed as planned. The immediate crisis is solved, but debates about fleet size will continue. Switzerland's Air Force future remains a work in progress. Switzerland's F-35 saga is a lesson in balancing security and fiscal discipline. The government's compromise, fewer jets, but the best available, reflects both public will and strategic necessity. The fixed-price misunderstanding exposed the pitfalls of complex defense deals. Switzerland chose advanced technology over fleet size, betting on quality. The decision keeps the Air Force modern and interoperable with allies. The debate over the ideal fleet size isn't over. For now, Switzerland moves forward with a smaller, cutting-edge force. The promise to voters stands: strong defense within budget.